Thanks everyone for coming. As a reminder, I'd like to inform everybody tonight that we will be recording this in Indiana Code 5-14-1.5, so it can be broadcasted and seen at later dates. Okay, with that being said, let's look at our agenda. Take a motion to approve this in flexibility.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with flexibility this evening.
Thank you. We got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. It's unanimous. About our minutes. Did anybody have a chance to read those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our May 20th, 2025 regular meeting.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unanimous vote. Clerk-Treasurer.
Payroll vouchers passed around $28,922.21. Accounts payable vouchers passed around $11,941.12. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Make a motion to approve the accounts payable for $11,941.12.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion, any questions, concerns, anything at all for Angie? We'll do a roll call. Greg?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Unanimous vote. Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for payroll for 28,922.21.
Make a motion to approve the payroll for $28,922.21.
Thank you, Brian. You got a motion on the
I'll
floor?
second.
Second by Rob. Do we have any discussion about paying payroll? Not seeing anything? Greg?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion passes. We did have a meeting this morning. We did talk a little bit. We're mid-year. I've asked Angela just quick give us an update. Not right now, but I'm going to do it by email next meeting, whatever.
I sent you guys reports already
Okay.
about a half hour ago.
Thank you. I've been busy the last few hours, but so please jump in those, take a look at them. We're mid-year, so we should be about mid on everything. If you have any questions, please, I encourage everyone to reach out to her directly. She'll be able to answer the questions the best. So,
We
Thank
did not
you.
have any payments to the Department of Workforce Development this month, so doesn't mean it's completely over, but we just had no payments for this month.
good. Sounds good. Freedom Fireworks. Oh, yeah, the INDOT. INDOT and Cedar Creek is like a permanent thing. I thought it was just a highlight.
I was actually kind of encouraged that you skipped it.
I'm sure you were hoping so.
Yeah, so happy. Okay, I'll start with the trail. Fleming is doing a good job working on the punch list. They're down to pavement markings, some erosion control cleanup. They had their sub out repouring a couple of ADA ramps. Well, they'll be repouring it tomorrow and fixing a cracked driveway approach. So I think that one is just a matter of Keegan getting his final sub out to refresh the pavement markings, and hopefully by the next meeting we'll be able to wrap that up.
Thank you. And on that note, Keegan has been texting Tom and I in a group message and keeping us very well informed.
Good.
And I told him thank you, but let him know we do appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
Especially this finalized coordinates that we had to coordinate between a homeowner today and his driveway's getting removed, so that helped greatly when he was able to let us know ahead of time, hey, this is coming, and you guys.
It sure does make things easier.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Jared, are you presenting this one tonight then or not?
Oh my goodness.
That was the latest one we just got.
He's glad you brought it.
Thought we were holding on.
Yes, so the path that was included in the council packet, we would recommend.
Okay.
if I brought
Yeah, no,
this
go ahead,
one.
that's fine. Yeah.
All right, so this is Progress payment, we're still withholding a little bit of retainage for the stuff that hasn't been completed yet. And the application amount is for $11,910.64. Obviously, we've looked at the work that's been completed, and we think it's appropriate to pay them that amount we would recommend. This is pay application.
$11,910.64.
Correct.
Yes, it's pay
Oh, three,
application
it's got
number
it.
11.
Thanks.
I had all the right numbers, just not the right spot.
So Derek's request payment of
You got it.
$11,910.64
That's what I got, or that's what I heard.
for the trail.
So he's-
I said Derek's looking to pay Fleming $11,910.64, so I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to do the next payment to Fleming for $11,910.64.
I have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second on the floor. Do we have any questions, concerns, discussion for Derek or Tyler on this matter? I think it's coming along nicely. Roll call, Greg. Aye. Bill. Aye. James. Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion passes. Thank you, Derek. And how's Amstutz? Done?
Close. You know, it's usable. So the pedestrian signals are ready to be turned on. They're still waiting on the handrail to be installed. That is scheduled for the middle of June, so a couple of weeks out. There's still some finished grading that needs to be done, and unfortunately, the subcontractor ordered the wrong signs, so they have to reorder the signs. So there's probably going to be a punch list, and it's probably going to drag out for a month to 6 weeks or so to wrap up some of the final stuff. But overall, the work is complete.
On that handrail, I was coming down through there today, those trees look pretty close to that concrete. Are they slow growing or?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know the roots
Yeah.
tear up concrete like crazy.
No, those are, I'm not looking, that's not gonna be bad. I'll be fine along there.
It just made me think about it,
Yeah.
brought up the handrail. So, questions or concerns on either of the projects for Derek? Anybody? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Derek. Now we'll start on some new business. Fireworks.
So within our, town budget lines, I'm requesting 15,000 total to be spent on fireworks, and I don't wanna assign a line number, cause we have a few different line numbers, we're probably gonna break that number over, depending on what's going on. So if it's supplies, it'll go out, come out of supply, versus all out of one specific line item. My goal is that would be the top number. As the donations continue to come in, our number will be subtracted by just what we need. So if it comes down to 12,000, then that's what it will be. We're still getting donations coming in. We've had a fairly good run of those. But tonight I'm requesting up to 15,000 to make sure we have all the funding we need for the fireworks display.
If I remember right, didn't we agree to, for that 15 grand for the foundation when they were,
Yeah, we agreed to less than that,
Okay.
but now that's all underneath us. I just want to make sure we have a safety net in place. I think we had like 9 or 10 with them. 9. So this will, like I said, I just want to make sure we have a safety net there as donations roll in. I don't want to get to the 11th hour and be short $1,000 someplace. So
What was the total cost?
we're looking at right at 20 for everything. But I already have, like I said, I'm just trying to make sure that I got everything squared away, and I'm already at that 20 number with it like 14.5. So I just want to make sure that again,
I just made myself a note for the couple businesses
Yes.
I talked to that circle back around.
round and
First response.
No, I was actually going over to anti-fitness. Anybody can afford a building like that can definitely write a check out for at least 5.
Maybe I don't have any money left.
So
You might not.
the second side of that is if you guys know anybody who would be willing to donate or work for somebody who would be willing to donate.
Curtis Place, I heard, is looking.
Probably. So there could be some options out there. So, and we're not picky. We'll take $50. I'd say $25. I'm not. So
Fair.
That's kind of what I was just gonna say. If there's anybody out there right now watching and listening, and they might know somebody, it's behooved to our community, the way we've all pulled together, that you never know what you're gonna spark if you contact somebody and say, hey, listen, you know, would your organization or would your company be willing to, you know, donate to something that's pulled itself together and is doing a lot for itself? Let's help it out, because fact of the matter is, the way I've been pushing it to the people that I've been asking is, we're gonna end up probably doing this again next year, and we're gonna be relying on donations again next year, especially with the budget cuts. So, and like I said, anybody listening, I'd like to reinforce what Tyler said, and please don't think twice about calling the office. They'll answer all your questions.
yep.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Greg. We'll jump down to number 3.
We need to approve
We
the
need a
15.
motion.
Oh, yeah, we got that money.
I'd like to make a motion to approve up to $15,000 for the fireworks for 2025.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Do we have any more discussion about it? I know we just had some, but. Greg?
Aye.
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 I'm an aye as well. Motion passes. Shell station agreement?
Yeah, so loaded in the town council drive is the Shell station agreement. And let David, if you want to just briefly give a quick overview of what we did and what it looks like. I know you said you know, but
Yeah, Derek, Tyler, and I met with the attorney for the gas station owner a while back, kind of looked over the situation, and I think Derek and Tyler came to the conclusion that if the gas station would install a series of bollards along the sort of the middle portion where they had taken out the grass and laid in concrete, if they put those bollards in, it would provide the separation we need to prevent the parking. And so we agreed, so long as they're willing to bear that expense, we go through the trouble of putting everything back how it was. So we just have an agreement that says going forward, they're going to maintain the concrete in the areas where they took out the grass. They're going to maintain the 7 bollards that need to be 4 feet tall, 6 inches around, painted yellow. They need to be in safe condition and in a good condition. And so long as that's the case, we're good. If they fall into disrepair, we give them a 30-day notice to fix it. If they don't fix it, then we can fix it, or we can put the grass back, whichever we want. Either way, they pay that bill. The agreement just goes on so long as they do that. I put a provision in that says that if we ever want to just cancel the agreement altogether, it may be that we decide for some reason, having nothing to do with their misconduct, that we want to do something different with our right of way. I put a provision in that says that if we're going to do that, we can cancel it. I think under those circumstances, if we do that, we should pay them something, because they would have spent their money maintaining it. We're going to tear their stuff out for no bad conduct of their own. It seems they should be entitled to some consideration. In the draft that I put in there, I put $1,000, $500. I don't care. I think they should be entitled. I just thought that made sense.
I'd have to beg to differ on that. I mean, it was ours, we had it, they decided to come in on our property and do what they want.
Well, I guess my point is, this is legal going forward. I mean, this could be 10 years down the line when they replace things 3 times, when they would never have an obligation to do that.
Well, that would,
Other than they've taken it on now.
it would have fell back on us if they wouldn't have, I think, to do it, take care of it, but I'm open, I'm just one person.
I mean, and I will tell you that I've sent this agreement to their lawyer. We
Greg, what's your thoughts?
I apologize, but I'm not completely clear, David, on what your thought process is behind this. It's been a long day, so explain to me again what, for me, I mean, it's like, I'm not conceiving why we're wanting to give them any consideration and
I think he's thinking that if someone backs into it, hits it, they have to repair it per the agreement. And then if that happens 2 or 3 times, then we decide we don't want that, we want something different.
My point is, Greg, we should be, I mean, they're gonna install this bollard within the next month, they've already ordered them. If they install them tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, we decide, well, we're the landowner, and we think that we wanna do something entirely different, well, then we just let them spend however many thousands of dollars to do that, and then we're just gonna tear it out because we own the land.
oh.
So it would only be if that would only kick in if for some reason we wanted to do something different with that right of way, which I think is exceedingly unlikely.
Right.
It's just a contingency that if they're complying with the agreement and we decide we're going to go some other direction altogether, that it would be, I think, fair for them to receive something.
However, to add to this, and I'm going back a few years, we actually did spend money on Ballards, and then we ripped them out for no, I didn't think was a good reason, I voted against it. I could feasibly see that happening with a different council up here, and somehow somebody
Sure.
thinks all this time they were an eye blemish. Am I wrong? It was right in front of the barber shop, in Palmer's lot. It was where the benches are setting along the side.
Yes.
We had 4 Ballards there, we
Right.
cut them all out flush.
Yes, yep, you're exactly right.
That's all right,
Yeah.
that was a big project.
Yeah.
But we took them out because someone thought they were unsightly.
Right, yes.
And the whole idea was to keep the people in front of the benches safe instead of someone going over the side of the sidewalk like they're doing across the street over here.
Right.
Or basically the same situation. So really what you're saying is, what I'm understanding is the likelihood of us changing that would depend on if they are going to, if we're going to be allowing them any money or paying them any money.
Yeah, if we had some good reason to make a change.
But which probably won't happen.
Right.
So actually it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah, the only thing, they were hard to get a hold of in the beginning.
Yes.
I'm good with all this, as long as there's clear stipulation and if they have to replace them in a very timely manner.
Yeah, there's a 30-day, the draft is, if the town engineer concludes that things are not in the state of appropriate repair, we give them a 30-day notice, after which time we are authorized to make the repairs ourselves.
And build it up. Okay.
And there's a 30-day provision if we have to sue them to collect. And the other thing is, between the time that we got the right of way and now, the owner of the gas station deeded the property to himself and another person. I'm not sure what that was about, but now there's 2 owners, so I have both owners signing the agreement. That's the way I proposed it.
Good, nice catch. Chance? Right?
I'm good.
Looks like you got a consensus.
All right? I'll get that back up.
All right. Let's jump down to Justin. I met Mr. Florida. I think we ought to, why they convene over here, maybe go ahead. Justin, this is your proposal here, am I?
It was a drawing that you guys told me to get a drawing around and get back to Tyler, so without spending a whole bunch of money in topos and stuff, I had basically copy and paste units in the area and pop them on there and send them back to you guys and see if we're going down the right road.
Yeah, and do we have his old
So
stuff?
this is roughly,
I think there's just some confusion, so let's just get it cleared up right now.
So this is the way it originally sent. I don't have, this meeting, according to our minutes, it was talked about doing homes in the rear. And I think the real confusion for me was like the front of the development looks pretty accurate to what he had discussed. Before we moved on to the next step, I just wanted to make sure that, like, this is townhomes in the front, 2-story, single family, or single level, essentially townhomes, apartments, duplexes in the back.
By the looks of it, this is where you're, oh, it is. Is this right here where the townhomes stop and then 55 and over?
These are
I was
2 stories.
talking.
These are 2 stories.
Oh,
These are single.
what, yeah.
I thought there it was,
65.
and I just.
Oh,
These are the 65.
I don't, like, legally, sign it.
yeah, sign in and let's figure it out.
Okay.
I think they all could be. And just, that's why you need clarification.
What is it, where are we at then with the layout of this? Which one of these are gonna be
Well,
single
that's what I'm
family?
trying to guess the layout, because
The
it's a
single
little
family
confusing.
dwellings versus the 65 and older, 55.
Come on over here, you can even use my finger if you want.
So I came in here like 2 weeks ago, and I said, I asked for storage. And we talked that there's a need for 55-plus community. And we were saying the word duplexes, and duplexes, everybody's getting confused. Duplexes, in my opinion, we changed it to single-story living, because a 55-plus person doesn't want to walk upstairs. So townhomes are a 2-story living unit that I say are for 20-year-olds to 45-year-olds that don't mind stairs.
Which ones are those, Justin?
The townhomes that we put in the front.
All
Right there.
By the looks, the way the
Yeah,
drawings
I would say
it's
it's
here,
this, yeah.
that, and those,
Yeah,
correct?
correct. So we basically took the area where we didn't want the storage because we were gonna do the townhomes in the front. I asked you guys basically 3 options. The first option was storage in townhomes.
Okay, those are the
And
towns.
we didn't want
And
that.
these are the
So I said a 55-plus retirement community in the rear, townhomes in the front. When I say 55-plus, I mean single-story, duplex-style connected living, which is this. So townhomes and that were, I was gonna sell. If we remember that conversation, we had 3 options. And we decided we didn't want the storage. So this is what I sent to Joe Herendeen and said, draw something quick without spending a bunch of money and getting topos and everything done, so I can come back in, basically send it to Tyler and make sure we're still on the same page. So he took some from areas. These aren't the exact dimensions, because I didn't want him to spend a bunch of time, because I'm sure this gentleman knows the meter spins rapidly. So I said, let's just plop them down and go back and send him something. And when we start drawing and doing topos, I'm sure that this density is gonna shrink, because there's gonna be things that need changed. Right now, there's 160 units, and I feel you're not gonna get 160 units on it. But it's a model to show you what I was thinking. Come in the road, and here's the townhomes, and the younger generations living here, and then you come to the back, and it's the 55-plus older single-story homes connected, not individuals.
So,
Is that what we
so
spoke
far
of?
before I keep asking, or I mean, just,
So we're still looking at like the Piper home look, or?
I would like to do the Piper home look. The problem with the Piper home look on this is the Piper home looks, they all load from the rear. The Piper homes are a lot more expensive to build, which I think those are
So
the
then what
sell.
are we looking at?
so, yeah.
You're gonna look at
that's-
front loads. You're gonna look at front load garages, like the pictures that I drove to Columbus almost a year ago and sent you guys, that had seat shake and stuff on them, but the garage doors were in the front. The Piper trails, they put the porches on the front, and then they put the one road on the back, and they're very expensive to build because you only use one side of the road. The other side of the road isn't used. So those, I think, need to be sellable units.
So you're thinking maybe something like, garage, homes,
Yeah,
You
a
know,
garage
some-
door, a porch, a garage door, a porch. I mean, have you guys seen the Redwood community that's up on Wallen Road? I think it's a nice looking community. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The Piper Trails, I think you sell them, I think, because they're expensive to build, and I think that's the second phase. That's,
No yellow homes.
no,
Okay,
I've
very
said
good.
no yellow homes.
Well, but I
from the
know,
get-go.
but for everybody that's out there listening and
Yeah,
with
because
the
I mean,
phone calls,
I know you did
it's
switch.
switched so many times, I just want to make that clear.
Yeah,
for everybody
it's not a
listening.
yellow retirement community.
Very good,
No, it was gonna be a different look, different style,
okay,
a higher end.
good enough.
I know you're at the beginning stages. my thought is somewhere, maybe just a row of trees or something, kind of something
I
separate. I know
would
you're just
agree
getting
with
started, but, you know, separate the front from the back, how somehow.
Maybe put them on through here or something.
Yeah.
But before I spend money on, I've probably already spent $10,000-15,000 just in design ideas. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Hey, Justin?
Yeah.
What, are these gonna be rentals or owner occupied or?
Rentals,
Okay.
Are the townhomes rent or sold?
townhomes will be rentals too.
I had Derek look it over too, just if you want his rough take on it.
What's your rough take, Derek?
So my comments are really development plan related, not use related.
Okay.
I did have a really short conversation with Justin on the phone. He said this is just a concept, they would tweak things and move things around, is needed in the project development phase. One thing that I think we do need to check, if this should move forward, is there's a 5-foot elevation difference between this drive entrance and Donald Avenue. And for people driving northbound on Amstutz Road, we just want to look at the site distances.
Make sure that we're 500
Do
feet.
you think
Yeah.
if you put the entrance more here and then close that off, is that what you're thinking?
I think we just check it.
Okay.
Check it. If it's an issue, then we have a conversation.
Then,
about what we need
yeah.
to address.
What I had in the past, a long time ago when I came in here first, was we didn't know if we could get access to the farm. And Brian Suckler came out and he set up a little tripod and he looked at a, 500 foot of
Oh,
site.
so he may have already done it.
Yeah, he's already went out there and did that. But back to your point, if that's not the correct thing, obviously we would put the driveway with a 500 foot distance is in. So again, that's just a rough drawing of, here we go, there's a ballpark, go back and show them. And are we still going down the right road, or is this a curve, or? That's it. I feel weird, it's like, welcome back, right?
Yeah, give it.
I just need clarification because the next step of this is gonna really dictate where we go, right? So it's gotta go through, at this point, I think in BZA, and then obviously down the plan of the planning commission.
Then back here.
So it doesn't, once I get in the planning commission, if we go BZA route, it doesn't have to. If we rezone it, it comes back here. So, like, I just wanna make sure that we're all heading down this, we've got all boards heading the same direction as we proceed down this road. And this is pretty heavy density, overall, so I just wanna make sure as we would develop this, that we know what we're all focused on the same endpoint, I guess.
That's tough.
Well,
Because.
At least
I mean,
heading the same
And
endpoint.
as a business guy, I own a small business, I wanna get as much as I can for my money. On a town councilman's side,
Right.
I don't want extremely, every creek and corner have a home and, I'm just telling you what I think. And I don't, yes, we need townhomes, yes, we need 55 and older. Do I want to see you cram everyone in there you can? No. Do I want it to look nice and respectful? Yes, and do that. That's what I want, and if it doesn't come back here, then I lose my voice, but I'll be at the meetings. Now I'm everything but quiet.
So, really the reason it comes twofold. I put it in front of you guys first because we were originally talking rezoning all this. If we don't rezone it, we leave it into the BZA's hands and the planning commission's hands, and it's all gonna be renter owned, then I think we need to figure out what that looks like long-term. Make sure that either the HOAs or whatever, however you set that up, that there's a long-term plan of how that funds itself, how the maintenance stays up. Like, that's all stuff we need to discuss as we would walk down this road. But again, I just want to make sure that this is what you guys all had in your minds when we left the last meeting.
It's too, like I said, for me, it looks like there's too many homes, and I know it's a rough draft. And I'm not saying this is the end game. I'm just giving you my opinion. Right.
Well, I think, like Justin said, once he digs into it, it's probably gonna be less. So I feel better about that. My question is, I think last time you were here, I would have swore you said the townhomes were gonna be owned, not rented.
I just went back and forth so many times.
Yeah, I agree,
Yeah.
I agree with that, that's why,
That kind of puts a little chill up my back, I'll be honest.
I'm just asking you guys, what's any different than a 21-year-old person who's graduated college works supposed to be renting than?
I think
having
if you
55
own
plus?
something, you take better care of it. I think younger generations go on a trip and they rent a car, they drive that car a little different on their vacation than they're going to theirs, because they're renting. And I look at that the same way, is ownership is pride, and I don't care, I mean, for most people, it's whatever they own.
I think,
You know.
I don't know who, might have been Tyler said it, how you gonna, the upkeep, the maintenance, if it's rental, whether if it's owned, that's a big concern.
How do these other places do it?
I don't know, I'm sorry, man.
How's like redwoods and stuff, how do they do it?
I don't know about redwoods, but the recent applications I've seen for townhomes is zero lot line. So the buildings are constructed side to side and the lot line runs between. So they're actually sold individual lots that are purchased. Then you got property management. Takes care of the property. And there's a common space parking outside to help with parking.
But my point is it works.
There are ways to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My point is there's ways to do it and it works.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the ones over in Huntertown and the ones in New Haven, they're getting sold and they're going good. I mean,
My other thing that I want to stress is there's 160 right now, which I already agree is too much. I said just plop it on there.
Yeah.
If the ground's level, again, we spoke before, that's the hilliest ground in all county. So the number's going to come down in my opinion. Second, I've worked on Macarius Place and I've been out there all day today working as my dirty for 2 years, and there's 3 homes. We're talking 100, maybe 100. How many years would that take? It's not like it's 100 in 2 years. It's 115 years. In 15 years, I'm going to assume there's going to be a farm that sells that connects State Route 1 through the Amstutz Road, and you're going to have more than accesses out of points of going out one entrance. My thought is it's not like that we're going to 100 homes in a year. It's going to be a long, long
I'm
process.
not sure there's anybody who can put them up that quick.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Yeah, I wasn't going there.
Yeah, I didn't, I know
Yeah.
you weren't,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I know that some people
No,
don't understand that it's not, that thing is not gonna fill out or build out.
So you're thinking that you can build it quicker if you rent it out, you could fill it quicker than if you tried to sell lots?
I would think in today's market you could, 100%.
Okay.
I would think what I would like to do is probably develop a section of it, do the main road and go back and get to the 55 plus and maybe the front road of the townhomes, and you put up 10 townhomes and you put up 10 55 plus. And when them sell, then you do another phase, 10 and 10. And just keep working. There's no way you can do it all at once.
No.
So it's a multi-year phase thing, and in my opinion, I'm not on the visionary board, and I really like Leo, and you guys know I've been here a lot. It's a way to know where that product is gonna be for the next X amount of years. You know what's gonna happen and what's it gonna be. Is a visionary board, what I was trying to say.
I suppose for me, all I want to see is, I want to see what these duplexes are actually going to look like. I want to see what these townhomes are going to look like. And when we see that, I don't want it to change.
Well,
Got it? I don't want it to change.
but if it goes to BZA, we are not involved in it.
Exactly.
Only in planning.
Oh,
I will be
His
in
plan-
planning,
The planning board would be involved in that process.
and I'll support you there. But I'm just saying,
I agree with that.
here we go again. I get this, and I'm like, what is this? This is not what I just looked at 2 weeks ago. Okay, mindset change or hit the reset button. Here we are again. Now, all I'm saying is, I know geographically what we're looking at there is no way there's going to be that many because there's the floodplains too close, this and that.
Right.
So all that stuff's going to help change that on its own. Plus, whatever you decide, hey, I'm not going to bite off all that. We are going to spread these out a little bit, whatever you're thinking about. But whatever you're thinking about, make sure that when we see it the next time is what we're looking at between now and when you start putting sticks together.
Okay.
That's all I care about. I'm ready to approve you, I'm ready to help you move forward, but every time it changes, I'm less affectionate, I'll be honest with you. I want to, it's not that I don't want to see you at meetings, you can come to every meeting, but you do drag the meetings out, and I like short meetings, so.
Well, I give you guys photos of the townhomes that I like. The one time I submitted them, I drove around, I think you pulled them up, I went to.
And I know this is
Collins.
quick, but this jammed everybody up like.
And then we went like that, so then we went to storage, and the neighbors came.
You don't have to recap, we remember, we were here.
So my point is, I've showed you what I want to build. So
Okay.
did you like the townhouse look that I showed? Did you guys
We
like it?
did, and I think we all told you that.
Okay, all right, and you like the townhome look with the garage doors in the front that I showed you from the front?
Yeah, and if it's got peaks and
Yeah.
porches, I mean, that's appealing because other ones around town don't
Double
have
floor
that.
siding and nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not inviting,
I
you
get it.
know, warm.
I think, you know, from my perspective, obviously this doesn't show up, but you gotta get sidewalks in there. I think you have to have some off-site parking along there somewhere. Like, I think there's a lot of things that we're probably missing in this jam-packed.
There is, I told him,
Right.
there is.
Yeah, which I think is what is part of the startle factor, right? When you look at this, you're like, wait a second, I've seen this elsewhere,
Right.
and that's not what we have envisioned, or what our envision plan even calls to be in our community, so.
That back one looks nice. That top back section there, that
Yeah, I
one,
think, that's why I pulled it up.
yeah, I mean, that,
Not that, next one down.
Yeah, right there.
That's,
you know, those look nice.
I think those are nice, they're shaky siding on the fronts and board and back, and they look good.
Yeah, I agree. I have a feeling if you do 10 and 10, the 10, 55 and older are gonna be rented before you could even get them done. And those 10 up front will sell, but not as fast, which would be a great problem for you.
So
Focus on the back.
for his direction, are we thinking the townhome in front more along the lines of selling and the rentals in the back, or all rentals, or do you guys even care? Just so he has a direction and I have a direction when I start seeing this paperwork roll in.
I want something nice, I want something well kept and taken care of. That's what I care about. How they pay for something, to me, is not a big deal. Appearance, coming into Leo, that's what you're gonna see. I want it to look good myself. That's my opinion. Brian?
I would prefer owner-owned.
Seamus?
I don't know that I have I really care either way. I'm with you. Like, there's pros and cons to the new generation coming in. Like, we all know they're lazy.
They don't
For the
wanna-
most part of it, they don't wanna take care of anything, so they're happy to let somebody mow their yard, shovel their snow, take care of their landscaping, whether they own it or you own it and they rent. I think there's pros and cons to both sides of that. You
I know the younger generation is different than myself growing up, and I'd say you growing up. I know some personally, they come home from work and you don't see them, they sit at home without their computer.
Right.
They don't wanna mow their yard, they don't go outside. And I think that you could run, I think what would be a good thing for you guys is what Mrs. Bailey spoke of earlier, what you did with the gas station, where we draw up a provision where, I don't know if it's like an assessment or something, every year, 2, 3, you guys come in, look at them, hey, this needs painted, this needs redone, this needs freshened up. Because I understand you are concerned on the rentals, I get that. So as you guys are sitting up there, you're wondering how are you gonna protect your community? And the way I would say is, he could probably draw up something that would put something on that property that Tyler can come in, or whoever the village administrator is, and say, this needs cleaned up, this needs spruced up, paint's flaking on mailboxes. Is that true or false?
Well, I mean, a lot of it will be, I mean, there are development standards that you have to comply with in, just in the code.
once it's done, or just develop
Yes.
the property and
No,
sell
so
it?
my goal is to retain ownership of it. Hopefully someday
Retire.
at my retirement.
Fair.
Yeah.
You answered my next question.
I don't know, some of you guys don't know me, I'm usually never dressed up, I work nonstop. If you guys ever wanna find me, go to Macarius, I mow, I mulch, I do it all, and I'm the same, would be the same with this. Greg's been by my house, I've seen my house, I keep my house nice, I like nice things, and if I do this, I'm not gonna let it turn into a rundown pit.
Rob?
Brian's question was my question as well, and you did a pretty good job answering that. I realize we put you in a hard spot. We're asking for something very nice, and you as a businessman coming in, and that takes money out of your pocket because we're setting a standard, but you're also filling a need our community has with housing and affordable housing. So I'm good with either, I'm good with the rentals. Like Brian said, I kind of got a little uneasy feeling when I first heard that, but I think you have shown that with the current project you have going on, that you can meet expectations. So I thank you for that.
Greg, I know you spoke, but you got anything else?
No, I just,
I mean, you'll be involved the whole
It's-
thing, so.
yeah, as far as the renters or the owners, the renters part, I agree with Scott 100% about ownership. The only other thing about renting that would concern me is making sure that legally, if something ever happened to Mr. Kuhn, that whoever would inherit that responsibility would adhere to, keeping the place up. I don't know how that would fall into, legalities, but that would be my only thing, and it was, because things happen, and I just want to make sure that, the place is kept up. That's it.
I was gonna say, yeah, cause I know there's other communities south of here who have out-of-town owners of apartments, and they're hard to get a hold of, and they're not a good place.
Gotcha.
So that would be a concern to the,
Yeah, right, I understand that.
but I mean, with you, I don't have,
No, I don't.
like everybody else, we
It's
don't
not
have
year
concerns.
one, it's year 25 or year 35.
Correct.
I'll be honest with you, that's
Yeah.
my understanding. Me and Reynolds, only, that's my only concern.
Hopefully by then I've trained my kids good enough that
Right,
they
right.
want to do stuff and they can take care of it.
Anything from the audience, by all means, feel free, Dirk,
You want me to set the microphones down?
whatever you would like.
All right, well, I'll talk about it. So on the rentals versus the owner occupied, I was 29 when I bought my house, but when I graduated from Purdue, I always wanted to come back to live in Leo, this is where I grew up. So I would have loved to have a lot more rental options right when I moved back first. And so to some of the points I already heard, if your rents are on the higher side, you're gonna attract the kind of people that are gonna take care of things. If you're talking about $600 a month, okay, that's maybe a rough crowd.
He's gonna be out of business.
Yeah.
Just want to back to the trail.
And that's what I want to say about rentals. And I know that's something I've shared with Envision multiple meetings as far as having a little bit more diversification in our housing options.
I don't even
Thank you.
have anything for 600.
Janet?
I just have a question, because my husband and I have been at that age, because we're like in our 70s and 80s, and we talked the other day about where would we go. I mean, our house is huge, we have 5 bedrooms, 5, we said, where would we go? We don't want to leave Leo, we like it here. And when Penny Miller said, well, I've got a duplex over here for sale, and my husband said, I can't use that. So I guess I'm really excited about the fact that it's going to be a single level and not try to cram duplexes in for old people, because one of the biggest things Gibson needs. So I am excited the fact that he said he's going to be building single layer.
Single level,
A single level.
Seems like we
homes
have your
with
first
50
client.
over.
There you go.
No, I mean, I think it's great. I think when I look around Lionsgate where I live, and I look at the people in my neighborhood that are 65, 75, 85, and 2, and I beautiful, like I have a gorgeous, gorgeous downstairs. My husband has not been downstairs in probably 4 years, since he got both knees done. He can't get up. So I know he thinks a lot. We are paying for a lot of house that he can't use. I was down there twice today. We have a beautiful pool town there. We have all kinds of good things, but it's something he can't do. So as far as like are you thinking 2-bedroom? Yeah, a 2-bedroom, senior unit, I would be ecstatic to be able to know that in a few years, there's an option. And renting would totally make sense for me because at our age, I don't want to go back and mortgage again. I would really like to let my daughter and her fiance take over my house and us move into something that we can afford, but also something we can close the door if I'm going to go away for 3 weeks and leave and not worry about who's going to mow my yard. Or, so I'm really thrilled about the 55 and older, and I think there'll be a lot of people in this town and community that will be really cool about that too.
I agree.
So I'm really plus that, so.
Okay. Thanks,
So-
Grant.
But I do feel there's a need.
She's not a paid endorsement either.
Do we have anything else for him?
No, I think that's,
You
as
good?
long as we know where we're going.
Yep.
No, I'm good.
So I'll start, I'm out of town the next day this week, but
Okay.
if I get back, we'll start developing a plan and getting squared away and move forward.
Put Tyler probably speed dial number 3. Make sure your wife's in front of him.
All right, thank you.
Park board discussion. Dirk, come on up. You're already on the way.
So first things first, I know most everyone in the room, but I'm Dirk Schmidt, Park Board President here in Leo-Cedarville. And the information, we talked about a whole bunch of general things, but specifically I believe you were looking for was the rental information about that. So the way it was put to me when Tyler passed it on to me was, what's our current rental income revenue that we've been taking in? I got some numbers from Angela earlier this year for 2024, it's a full year. I thought that'd be a great place to start. I know Janet does have the past 5 full calendar years. They're all around similar dollar amounts. So just starting off with those, for sign rentals, which is the sign down in Cedarville Park by the Cedarville Pavilion. In 2024, we had about $1,454 and change on a total of 59 sign rentals. So about a fifth of the year, we had people renting the signs specifically. There's obviously many more messages that we put out based on town-wide events and local events that we sponsor and highlight as kind of part of the whole purpose of having that signs and general billboard for the town. Moving on to the Cedarville Pavilion Park rentals. In 2024, we had approximately $37,857 and change on 169 rentals. So not quite half of the days of the year, but a pretty decent number. The vast majority of our rentals obviously fall on weekends. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as Janet, little handout she's passing around would attest, it's very, very popular on the weekends. The weekday rentals, we've got a few different options, which I'll dive into later, but we don't get as many weekday rentals Monday through Thursday. So moving on, just to talk about the big picture, Riverside Gardens, Park Pavilion rentals, as well as some of the space that we have there. We did about $8,565 and change on 83 rentals.
I'm sorry, it's 83 rentals for how much?
83 rentals, and it was approximately $8,565.27. Janet might have a more specific number on that because it reflects some refunds. There was very, she moved back over there. There was a very small, maybe half a dozen refunds that we had kind of in both parks throughout the year that I didn't subtract off from that, but those are ballpark numbers. And obviously, big picture, you seem to want to know about the 8,500. So our rates that we have here, they're all available online currently. But talking specifically about Riverside Gardens Park, generally we charge, I shouldn't say general, it's poor word choice. Riverside Gardens Grand Pavilion, the rental rates that we have are $125 for a resident, $150 for a non-resident. The South and North Pavilions, the smaller two pavilions of Riverside Gardens, are $75 for a resident and $85 for a non-resident. The current rental structure that we have, by the way, at Riverside Gardens is all for full days. There are no partial days or hourly rentals. The grassy area, which we haven't had a whole great number of people take advantage of. $75 again, $85 for a non-resident. And then this Riverside Gardens Park event that we put into place, oh gosh, at least half a dozen years ago. It's mainly been catered towards our really, really big events that we've had happening, but it's a small number that have actually gone through that, and I know in discussing changes to the future license agreement, we've had, Jan, I think like 1 or 2 rentals that have basically rented all the pavilions plus the grassy area, and it comes out to about half of the full park rental cost. And so we've had some very small number of rentals that have kind of skirted the full park rental. So that's something that we're going to be changing in our future policy. So with those dollar amounts, again, $125, $75. When I move on to talking about the Cedarville Park rental rates, you can kind of see a bit of a contrast and why that revenue dollar on twice the number of rentals is more than twice the dollar amount. So the rates we currently charge per the agreement, resident $130, non-resident $160. This is for Monday through Thursday. We don't, for Monday and Thursday, distinguish between partial and full day rentals because we've never had a strong desire to have 2 rentals on the same weekday, Monday through Thursday. However, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and holidays, we structured the current license agreement when we revised it all the way back in 2021 to do partial days and full days. The partial day price would be $250 for a resident, $290 for a resident, and we broke it out specifically by time of day. So 7 to 2 p.m. rental was one rental period, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. was another rental period. And the motivation behind that, again, was to try to provide flexibility. If someone had a date that they really wanted, but it was already reserved for the afternoon, they could consider doing a party in the morning or vice versa. And then going on to full day rentals, we had resident price of $450 and a non-resident price of $500. So, I mean, talking order of magnitude, the $250, the $290, the $450, the $500, it's very easy to see why with twice the number of rentals at Cedarville versus Riverside Gardens, we generate nearly 5 times as much rental income, roughly. So that's big picture. In terms of, let me go back to my sheet here. Make sure I stay on topic. So, you know, Scott, I know we've had a couple of different sit-downs, and between yourself, Tyler, and me, and then Tyler, myself, and Janet, I've had some sit-downs to talk about some of the ways we're planning to make changes in the future, one of which I know is a strong passion of yours, as it is mine, which is online rental availability, having that information available on the website just to see if it's even available for the date that you want. So following the conversation that you, Tyler, and I had, we sat down with Janet, and there's multiple perspectives on things, obviously, but one of the things that Janet would tell you is that in the current process, if somebody calls in to pick a particular date, and let's say they want to do the Cedarville Pavilion, and the day it's not available, that interaction with Janet is an opportunity to say, well, hey, I don't have the Cedarville Pavilion available on the day that you want, but I do have the Grand Pavilion. Based on the time of year, this could be a very viable alternative. It's covered, depending on how many participants you have. It can still generate a rental. Whereas if we did everything solely online and they completed the process online, you might potentially just not have any rental whatsoever because they see their first facility was not available and they move on. So one of the things we did talk about specifically in having this online rental availability is structuring the calendar in the system in such a way that they can see the availability for all of our rental facilities. So that way, if there's 4 options there, if the one they were thinking of is not available, it's presented right there to them where, hey, this is another option I can look into. At that point, they would complete a request form, which would then be routed to our park administrator, and Janet would go then through the rental process of filling out the license agreement, securing payment, et cetera, et cetera. One of the changes in implementing this and talking with Tyler is redesigning the website. So this is something that as that's happening, this is a feature that we want to try to incorporate into that. So, and then I'm just going to move on talking about the existing license agreements now. So, as I believe we talked about in person, we've had some resident, non-resident, say a dilemma, where you've had some straw purchasing, where a out-of-town Fort Wayne child perhaps is going through their Leo-Cedarville parent to do a rental of our facility, wherein by all accounts it's a non-resident that's doing the rental, but because they're going through a Leo-Cedarville resident, they're getting that slight reduction. Something we're planning to do when we update the license agreements here is just get rid of the resident and non-resident distinction and just charge a single rate. So that will mean that the resident price will slide up some, and it'll be somewhere in between the middle of where the resident and non-resident price is now. Another item, again, we didn't have a great usage of it, but one of the things in trying to maximize our rental opportunities was if somebody reached out to us very short term, seeking a rental opportunity within the next week, and they started bulking at the price perhaps, they thought maybe it was too much, we did give permission to our park administrator to offer a discount on that price. The way it was structured is that if it's within 1 week, it could be 10%, within 3 days, it could be 25%, and if it's the day prior or the day of, it could be a 50% reduction. And again, the thought behind this was some money is better than no money, but we've had a very small number of actual discounted rentals that we've utilized. So since we're not having utilization of it, we're planning to discontinue that when we update the license agreements here this year. As I mentioned in our in-person meeting a while back, so we periodically reevaluate our rates, compare them to other facilities, understanding that it's not always apples to apples in terms of our occupancy that we have at our facility versus, let's say, Matea, for example. The last time we took a real in-depth look and made rate changes back in 2023, and the number that comes to mind is the full-day rental at Matea was somewhere in the ballpark of $700. That was the way they structured their rental agreement at the time when I last looked at it, was if you did it on a weekend, you were doing a full facility rental. And so a full facility, you have 400 people, whereas our Cedarville Pavilion is much, much more limited than that. So we think the rates that we've been doing are very reasonable. We've certainly been getting a decent rental occupancy and generating a good revenue from it, but we do reevaluate them from time to time. And as part of revising the license agreements this year, that is something that we're going to be taking a broad swath, looking at New Haven, Fort Wayne, and then Matea, and also Fox Island has a rental shelter as well. So, and then kind of circling back again to the partial day, full day rental structure. So when we last did it, again, we were trying to maximize rentals while providing flexibility and not turning down rentals. We, in 2024, had a very small number of actual full-day rentals. The vast majority of renters that wanted to use our facility were some form of a partial day rental. So in going back and looking at that as part of the license agreement and the rates, the partial day versus the full day is going to be revised. And we're going to have to come up with a structure that is somehow providing a little bit more flexibility, and also allows us to perhaps capture more than what our current partial day rental price is, but also kind of reflect how many hours someone is truly wanting to rent the facility for. So that's something that it's going to be a challenge to try to hit the right point. And as we have always done, we kind of let our rentals and the volume speak for themselves. If we're renting this thing out left and right, then we're either giving it away or we're charging decent rates. If we're not getting very many rentals at all, then we've probably got the rates a little bit too high. So with 169 rentals, at least for Cedarville, I think we're doing pretty well in terms of where we have a rate set, but that is something, like I said, with the revision to the structure, that will be evaluated. To another point that was presented as far as better aligning the park board and the town council expectations going forward. So I know something that we had in our conversation was having a park board member, either myself as the president or David Gall, our vice president, appear every other month, I believe is what we're going to try to start with, just to give some updates on where we're sitting things, where things are sitting with the park board.
So you mean you're coming every other, or you mean just?
Myself or David. So either a park board member every other month. I think we established that was a reasonable touch point, just kind of keep tabs on how things are going every year. But if you feel like it needs to be more, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot to talk about, it looks like. I'm glad to hear that you're looking at some of that and going through it. For me personally, not speaking for these gentlemen, I think it needs to be online ASAP, at least to see to start. And I know that there's website. I'm for rentals online, but not all. I think we need both. We need to have rentals online, you start with just seeing the schedule, then move to rentals. We still need a person to answer the phone, help. We still need the individual, because not everybody wants to rent online or put their credit card in. Some want to call, some don't want to call, some want to rent online. We're back to what we were talking about earlier, the age generation difference. A 21-year-old doesn't want to talk, they just want to rent. And someone 50, 60, 40 may only want to talk to someone on the phone. So we have to have both available, my opinion, no more. We need to be doing security deposits and doing checks, and if stuff's broke, damaged, anything, they get billed. My daughter-in-law just had a party that was somewhere else for getting married last year, and my wife come home and said that mother-in-law was confident that she was getting her security deposit back, and went through this thing, cleaned it, made sure there wasn't even nothing on the floor. So that's what made me start thinking about this, because I was like, wow, that's not a bad thing for us if we would have that as well. And before I kick it out to the gentleman, I would like to see someone here at least once a month, but I'm kind of open. We need some kind of communication. I'm open to discuss what, but where we're all, what we're thinking, and vice versa. So that way it's a thing. But anybody else got comments? By all means, ask questions. Greg?
Yeah, I'm more in line with once a month, because with the budget cuts we have upcoming, we need to keep a better eye on what's going on with the park. and the park board, and seeing as how it's like a $150,000 budget, we need to keep an eye on it. It's more responsible to the people around here that we're keeping our finger on things. So that's my opinion.
And I agree with the budget cuts is what brought a lot of this up is we're gonna have to figure out how to weed through that. And so we started looking at how can we capitalize, and I don't know these answers. First, we need to streamline, which sounds like you're moving towards one payment, it's the same for everybody, period. Everybody pays it, and we could do a better job tracking that. I'm just trying to think of a way we can increase the rentals.
So, going back to Greg's point, is the budget, absolutely. And depending on what kind of number gets passed down in terms of percentage, that is certainly something that we're going to have to revisit. The one thing I would add to that, and I fortunately have the benefit of having been around for over 10 years on the park board. I can tell you that back in 2014, when I first came on the park board, our cash balance was floating around $54,000. And I know just kind of in skimming, looking through the oldest digital copy I had near year-end 2018, November 2018 specifically, our cash balance was around $62,000 was the report I found. And we have been very responsible stewards with our budget. $150,000 may be the budget, but there have been many, many, many years where we have not spent our whole allocation. Our request to reduce our budget at the end of the year has been a norm. So that way we can carry that forward and use that to fund our future year budget. So I don't think we're going to have as many pain points perhaps with that budget. And I say that to say that a lot of our focus in recent years, absent some unique opportunities that come along, like the ARPA funds last year that helped us put in the pickleball courts, has been trying to maintain what we have and not necessarily greatly expanding. When those opportunities come along, we've tried to take advantage of them. But I know another thing, and this goes a few years back, just talking about kind of the park board property tax allocation. I don't believe the percentage changed at all when all the improvements were made over Riverside Gardens with the splash pad, the volleyball court. The percentage, to the best of my knowledge, stayed the same. And even though we have so many more man hours that have gone into upkeeping the park, we've been able to be responsible stewards of dollars. And I know Janet grabbed a number as far as what our current cash balance is year end, and at the end of 2024, our year end balance was
234,904.
So, does that sound right?
What this year's? I have it.
So, over 10 years, we've been trying to build up our money, and one of the future needs, as we've been discussing in recent meetings, is about the Imagination Station specifically. So building up that cash balance is something that's going to need to be utilized in order to upkeep and rehab that facility as well, and replace it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're looking at $40,000+ for that, and that's a Band-Aid to get us through for so many years.
Yes.
And then it's gonna be like the other wooden ones, torn down. I mean, it's wood.
And replaced, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that's just what happens with wood.
And we're going to have a fundraising effort, a very large fundraising effort, because it certainly costs a lot more to build today than what it did 30 years ago, nearly.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that we're looking at is, budget cuts. I know you said you've done well with that, but on the same side, by doing well, here we're sitting looking at a $40,000 bill, and I wouldn't know to do all that, so I'm not criticizing, because until I brought it up, I thought, holy crap. I just assume things are being done, but that's big. And then right now, we're sitting with a splash pad that part of it shut off because we have a leak. And you know, what's that gonna do? There's a cost in repairing that, you know, and who's paying that? You know, these things just keep popping up. It seems like when we hear we're getting a budget cut, we found a bunch of expenses. Couldn't find them all when we had the opera money. I mean, you know what I mean?
Is that,
So in explanation of the end of year balance, so the end of year balance is also the beginning year balance this year of $234,904. Of that money, they have budgeted to spend $155,000 of it. Being cash balance, not including any revenue received, which this year they have received a total of almost $65,000. At the end of the, like right now where we would stand, we have approximately $140,000 to spend on the repairs and stuff that were discussed regarding Riverside Gardens and the issues over there as well as the Cedarville Park. And that is all, like that's your only cash reserve.
so the cash reserves.
Basically,
are
like based
100
off what we have right now, you're looking at $140,000 and that's
cash
if we
reserve.
don't spend all of the budget.
So part of the problem at the Leo-Cedarville Park down there with the Imagination Station was that it wasn't taken care of. It wasn't sealed.
Somewhere along the
Is that
line,
right?
it's been done because there's others that were put up at that time are gone
Right.
now. So I'm not saying
Or
we're
is it
pointing.
just the fact that
It's a
that's what
common-
happens to the wood?
It's a
The lifespan
combination of
of it.
age
Lifespan?
and.
Okay,
It's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's a whole combination of
To,
things.
to your point, we are in no way, shape, or form playground equipment experts, and a great number of things we have relied on our maintenance staff to let us know when issues are becoming issues and this needs to be addressed. And for a number of years, this was not being flagged as an issue that we needed to address. And in its outwardly appearance, if it's holding up, things aren't falling apart. Well, when you look closer at the wood, okay, you're explaining to me, yes, in 3 years, maybe this goes, okay, I can see that now that you tell me that. But yes, that's, if I could turn back time, I wish I could.
It still would, it's still gonna have end of life.
That too.
We all know that, there's no way around it. It's kind of sad, I mean, because it's been such a beautiful park that's entertained so many families and kids. Maintenance Brian, you got something?
Yeah, this is just strictly me as a resident, not as an employee. I see like with your fuel rentals during the weekends. I mean, obviously the park over the Riverside, I mean, village, you're never gonna get any more money than what you're getting for them. But at Cedarville, if you're doing half-day rentals, a half-day rental shouldn't be half price. A half-day rental should be three-quarter price, which kind of urges that person to maybe possibly get the full-day rental for a few bucks more versus a half price, because ultimately, at half price, and if you don't rent it for that second part of the day, okay, so now you've lost out on half the money, or you've lost out on 50% of the money extra. And if you rent it out to two different groups, or if you rent it out to one group, you're still, all your expenses are the same. Your toilet paper usage, I mean, it sounds crude, but toilet paper usage, you gotta look at all that stuff. The electric bill hasn't changed much. You know, nothing really changes much whether you've got one rental in there for half a day at half price, or charging three-quarter price, because then you're compensating a little bit of that money you're losing. I mean, we're not having any problem renting that facility, because I look at, yeah, we're limited on the amount of people we can put in there, but it is a very nice facility. Oh, compared to almost every other place out there that isn't a, huge thing. And I use the example of, I look at, perfect example, I was talking to Jeff about this today. So if I rented the pavilion out here as a non-resident for a full day on the weekend, $500, right? Roughly, okay. So, a non-member of the Legion down here, I could rent the basement, which is, and it's a nice facility, but it's a dungeon, which holds basically the same amount of people. Now,
I paid $400. I would have paid $400 if I wouldn't have been a member of the Legion, which I did just a few months ago. Now, I would have not even thought twice about spending the extra money and renting Cedarville because it's a lot nicer facility. Not the Legion, but it's a much nicer
It's
facility.
basement.
Yeah, and I look at it as we're not having any issues renting that out. So I don't feel that if we raise the prices a little bit, it's out of line. And I definitely think that it's silly to rent it for half a day for half price. Rent it for half a day at 3/4 price, then you make that, at the end of the year, that number's it's gonna grow excessively. So yes, I hear all your points, Brian. It is not half, it's more like 60%. You're right, it can be definitely close. I mean, I feel it should be at least 3/4 price. I mean, if I go to a restaurant over half order of sausage links, they're not selling to me for half price, they're gonna sell to me for 75% price.
All things to order.
All the expenses there, the same labor. And don't get me wrong, prices are going to go up.
Yes.
We're in a very different place in 2025 than we were in 2023, or even in 2021.
Well, if you're having trouble renting it out, I mean, basically, you're pretty much renting it out the entire weekend, year round. I mean, outside of a few days here, basically, right? I mean, Friday and Saturday at least.
Yeah, I mean, rentals are not a problem. That's,
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, keep that in mind, it's a beautiful place compared to a lot of places that aren't a huge venue.
so why is this on our plate is
Right.
straight one thing. Budget, money.
Yes.
Period. And it got nothing to do with anybody personal,
Right.
nothing. It's money. Go ahead, Janet.
Okay, so I spent about an hour on the phone with New Haven, and I said, I got some questions for you. Are your parks self-sustaining? Someone had to know. He said, our parks don't self-sustain. He said, our parks are here for the residents of New Haven, for their enjoyment. Our pool does not self-sustain, our playgrounds do not self-sustain, our pavilions do not self-sustain. We do get enough money to pay lights, electricity, whatever staffing, but they are not self-sustaining. So Fort Wayne, this is crazy, Fort Wayne, you know how big they are. They're in total revenue, I'm sorry, Mike, their total revenue, everything they take in covers about 50 to 18% of their actual expenses they go out. The council, the city council of Fort Wayne absorbs all of the money because it is a provided service to a community. You want a good community, you have good green space. You want a good park, it costs you money. You want a nice splash pad, it costs you money. I'm not saying the park board, we can't afford that, because we can. We're on tune this year, I did the numbers, and we're on tune to make 58,000 this year. That will be our biggest year ever. And that's because we have rented 50 out of 52 Sundays. We have rented 52 Saturdays, most of them double. And we have rented 36 Fridays and 18 Thursdays so far this year. That's a new record. Thursdays are kind of a hard rent for me, but I have really talked it up. I give tours, I show people, and I explain to them as a former caterer, if I'm only paying $130 for a rental on a Thursday night, and now I have $120 to $200 more to spend on my food, and my party suddenly becomes something people will go to. I can't make it on Saturday. I've got 16 different parties to go to, but on Thursday night, we get a lot of response, and I can prove that to you by people that have called me and told me I had great response on Thursday. We have so many programs in Riverside that are picking up and doing really well. We just had Mormon, Lightfoot, and Hope, sorry, Terry Joe, just sponsor the concert for June. We have our craft program starts next Wednesday. I have fielded probably 10 calls from moms. Can I drop them off? Do I have to be there with them for our craft program, which is a new function that we started last year that we did really well. We have yoga in the park this year, a free service that we are giving to the public, that the park board, rather than absorbing the $100 fee for the mats and the yoga instructor, are trading time in the park on weekdays. So the yoga instructor can work for us 2 days, then she could have a yoga of herself, her own private people, where she charges. So we're working that out at no cost. And that's really something new and different and fun for the people. If we don't get people in the parks doing these types of services, we've kind of failed them. I really do believe that. Angela will tell you our 8-cut cold, windy, rainy, we were freezing. We thought we were lucky to get 50 kids and like 85 kids showed up. And parents and siblings. I mean, it was a great event. We've never done that before. It was our first time. We
No.
No.
So,
And
so,
We've done a large dent. Rentals certainly do a large dent, but no.
Ever be
Yeah.
able to.
Janet, it's not a point of right now of finger pointing about money being spent. That's not where we're at here. The
so,
whole purpose of this is because of what's happening in 2026. It's the 30% less money that we're approximately gonna see for our budget in 2027. So what we're doing is we're being proactive, and we're looking at ways of cutting this here, cutting this here, cutting this over here. That's why we meet every Tuesday morning to go over things and watch this stuff. There's no finger pointing going on. There's no reason to feel attacked. That's not what's going on.
We should have started off by saying, thank you for being good stewards of the money.
Right.
well, I mean, yeah.
For sure.
I do get that.
Across the
I
board,
do feel a
things
little
are
bit
starting.
like we're not doing enough, and that we're not renting enough, and I'm thinking, I look at these.
No. That's not anything to do with this. All we want to focus on, Janet, all we want to focus on tonight is talking about getting someone here from the park board, the president or the vice president, every month to go over things and keep a watchful eye on it. To have more meetings with Tyler and Angela, to make it more transparent so we can not have any surprises. That's all we're talking about here.
Well,
Okay?
I look at it as, if we're renting that much and we're doing that well, we need to be generating more money. That's what we're looking at. We're gonna have our parks, we're never not gonna invest in our parks. Our parks are Leo, period. Everybody knows that. But in an email I read, 71 of 312 rentals in 2024 had non-standard rate applied. What I see in my mind is money lost 71 times.
So
That's how I see it.
Okay, but that's exactly.
So real quick.
So that's why I want every rental logged, who it is, their name, how much they paid. Did he get a half day, full day? I want that done every day, every rental from here forward. Period.
So,
There's no options.
This year.
so Scott, talk to Janet about that.
Okay.
And what that is Janet trying to get a little bit more from a partial day rental that didn't fit exactly within our rental structure. So going back, and I've told her, any rentals for the rest of the year need to follow the license agreement as it is currently stated. But going back again to the prices, so those time frames, 7 to 2 and 4 to 10, we gave more time in the morning because the thought was first thing in the morning isn't a super heavy rental period. So given the hours of the way in the morning, having really more like a 10 to 2 be a realistic time for someone who want, like it's a 4-hour period. And then the 4 to 10, again, we have it open to 10. That's not every party going until 10 o'clock. Again, most people are probably in that 5 to 9, 4 to 8, 4-hour time frame. So some of these rentals that we've been doing this modified price, which we are not going to do for the rest of the year because it's not within our current license agreement, have been in the 1 to 6, 12 to 5. They're the 5 to 6 hour time frame. So it's the partial day rental, but it's not being applied to these specific time frames as we outlined.
And I have no issue with that.
Well, so what it is though, is Janet has been trying to take the 250 price, tack on a couple of hours on top of that in order to try to get more revenue instead of losing the 250. So it's something, having gotten this explanation from Janet, when we revise the license agreements, that's certainly going to be looked at as far as, okay, well, if we've got a lot of people that are willing to pay $50 more for about the same amount of time, then we need to be raising the price that much. But as I outlined to Janet, it is not currently within the license agreement, so we do not have the authority to do that, and it will be discontinued the rest of the year.
Or at least until the time that the license agreement is modified.
Well, so the future license agreement will be revised to capture some of that element. Yes.
So any business, Justin, Seamus, think Greg, if you own a business, what do? You track incoming, outgoing. Every line, every dollar, every penny. I mean, am I wrong?
Well, you have to be successful.
Thank you. We're not doing that with the park board and the park board rentals. I do that because I seem to have more outgoing in my business maybe sometimes than incoming. So I've got to readjust what I do by that, like I'm sure you've done and Greg's done. If you don't know what's coming in and what's going out, you can't run a business properly.
Daily, it's
So-
done daily.
I
So-
agree, everything's got to be recorded.
So I
we
hear
can
what you're
look at
saying, but the way the rentals are, there's no, if you want to look at just the rentals, the cost it takes to maintain and upkeep the buildings and the pavilions versus the staff time versus what we take in, the numbers are going to look a lot better in terms of being more
Great.
self-sufficient.
that.
It's
Love
going to
that.
be the rest of the facilities in terms of all our grounds, the imagination station. There's no revenue to capture that. So when you
Yep.
talk about money coming in, money going out, it is being done. It's just being done across the entire park system, and that's what our budget is.
Yeah, and that's fine, but if we're bringing in, Janet's done a good job, we're up, I hear. So if we're bringing in off that and it continues when you do your license agreement and you're looking and you're seeing it and you're tracking every single rental and you see what it's making, that would help you. Do you have that?
Every single rental for 2024, yes.
I mean,
This is what
Well-
we get every month, is every.
okay, so this is per month. This ain't, per month doesn't go.
Well,
I
no,
want
this is
per
what the
day.
software does. This is
What
per day,
you get
every
it.
rental.
Well, so what I sent you, Scott, was every single rental and the price associated with it.
And why is that, why can't we see it? I mean, I know you emailed it to me,
Oh,
but
no.
these are things that need to be corrected is you should once, we're learning,
Sure.
moving
So
forward.
if the request, Scott, is that every 6 months we revisit rates, or every 1 month that we revisit rates, or every 3 months that we revisit rates, sure, knowing exactly what every single one comes in day by day, that would be great information to have. If we're doing this more on an annual basis, we have been doing it biannual basis, roughly 2021, 2023, here in 2025, we're looking at the rates again. Then every single rental coming in every single day has not been something that's been a huge priority because we've looked at past years and how it's been utilized in a whole calendar year and tried to make a decision based on the aggregate rather than what's coming in this week, what's coming in next week. We don't have a variable pricing to say, we don't know, maybe it's a desire to have a summer price versus a winter price.
Yeah.
But the
Never
way our
thought of
rentals, well, the way our rentals been structured, we get weekend rentals all throughout the year, regardless of whether it's hot, cold, rainy, sunny, et cetera, et cetera.
It's because we have a nice facility.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, and so Brian was speaking, and so I didn't want to
Yeah.
speak over him, but as I gestured to council, obviously council was a large part in us getting that facility the way it was. So thank you for that.
Rob, you got anything?
I think the bottom line in this whole thing is just communication. So I think if we get representation from the park board once a month, and just like how Tyler gives us, an annual report or a week or a meeting report, or his report, that'd be nice to hear from the parks board too.
And that's
Just that we're all in the same sheet of music, and I think you guys are doing a good job being good stewards of the money that has been, you've been entrusted with. It's just, that saves a lot of the surprise when something does come up, that the communication's already been happening, and we're all well-worked, just so that everybody's on the same sheet.
Yeah, and I agree. Something like this is the shortest one he's ever sent us. But what's that number 7 say?
We need to raise donations for the fireworks.
I'm just checking to see if you can read it. And we need to raise donations too.
2020
But-
essay.
So maybe you're right. Maybe you come once a month, give us the breakdown of what's coming, what's going, what you do know. I mean, I know some of us can't always be. And communicate a lot better. I've been trying to make some of the park boards, but what happens from 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock for me? I show homes, so I can't always be here because that's my busy time for my profession. So those are tough. I barely made it here by 5 today. As you know, 5 o'clock's tough. But yeah, I like that, Rob. That's a very good, well point.
So you're asking for a written report
Just something. I mean,
before they get here, so like,
maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's a,
Well, I think that's been the general rule for all of us up here. We digest better before the meeting, and that way it saves on communication. You know, it doesn't drag things out for a long period of time. So if we have it to digest before the meeting, we can be more direct with our questions and not be so far out in the gray area.
It could be a 5 or 10 minute conversation.
Thank you, thank you.
yes.
Oh, it's not been an hour yet.
Yeah.
No,
Man, I thought Justin was going till at least
Or
5:45.
this
I
was,
only about 45 minutes, I think, on mine. So.
this is Tyler and Angie's fault. Because in our meeting this morning, they said, oh, it will be quick.
I was hoping.
Well,
I told you not to say that.
it's been a while. It's been a while since we've had a regular presence at council meetings. So for all those reasons that you outlined, you and I have had conversations,
Oh, yeah.
Tyler and I have had conversations, Angela, here and there, Rob, some conversations. Brian here and there. Seamus, I know we've met before, but
Do
it's
you work
been a
out?
number of years. But
Do you work out at Anytime Fitness?
I do not work out at any time.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I'm allergic to it.
But the last time,
Fitness working out.
Working out, yes, yeah,
I
working
think
out.
was when your wife was helped co-sponsoring the 5K for the Freedom Festival.
Okay.
So
Well,
during some
very
sign up and pop over
Yeah,
one
right
time.
now, wow. So, yes, much more open, more communication. Now, first thing I sit down, I read this to see what I can fire or answer my own questions before I ask it.
So I know there might not be a number yet, but obviously, the sooner we know a percentage
Of
that we
time.
have, yes,
I
for the
don't
park
think-
board
We all
specifically.
wanna
We have met with county commissioners, we've met with state senators trying to figure this out. They don't have a clue.
So I
We
guess.
are going through the bill again this week.
Mhm.
So hopefully after this week, we'll have an answer as to how much all the communities are gonna be hit with.
I guess
They
obviously.
explained to us that there's gonna be several amendments to this bill. So it's gonna take progress or time to get to the bottom of it.
I know in years past, a goal has always been in the August timeframe to sit down and look line by line. What do I do?
She's
June.
Yeah.
Pass
We're here, we're here.
By the end of June,
I've
we'll have a
already
meeting.
started.
Anyhow, to work towards a number, let's see what have we been overspending in the past year, current year, how do we want to adjust line by line?
I would love to see all that, because I
Well-
don't have a clue.
So all that to say, obviously, we're shooting for September still, right, as far as the initial presentation?
The first week, yeah,
Yes.
will be initial, second town council meeting, hopefully will be the adoption.
Yes.
That gives us 30 more days for any changes.
So even if it's just hey, park board, we'd like 20%, and we can start doing something 20%, and even if in year one, we go over, we know that we need to cut that much more for next year, or if we go under, we know that, okay, maybe we're
I'm
okay
not
with
sure
where
you
we're at.
can cut 20%. I mean, we're helping this whole park along the whole way, and so don't get hung up on a number.
Well,
You've been
If you
fairly
cut
close.
20%.
In the last couple of years, you've been fairly close on your budget spending
Oh.
versus your
Good
budget.
job.
if we're talking about 20% cutting, and we're talking about finding a way to raise more revenue, then 20% isn't as
Oh.
much of a hit.
I like
if
that
you're
raise
breaking
more
the
revenue part.
So,
That's what I heard. It's a business.
Oh, I hear you, but when you talk to the New Haven and you talk to Fort Wayne, they remind me, it's not a for-profit, it's not a for-profit business running the park.
I know, but so our other options are to cut what? Hours? People? We don't want to do any of that.
I'll guarantee you, New Haven and Fort Wayne have people running those parks like a business to keep it as far down as they can.
And I agree with that, but I'm saying you have to remember that our end product here is to provide a wonderful service so everybody wants to live in it.
That's why I
It's
said,
like school.
that's why I said, I don't know if you can cut 20% because we have a nice facility, and we cannot skip out on maintenance on it to save money. That's not really a very good option for
Well,
us.
one thing we're working at on our end of it for maintenance is, we're looking at ways, Brandon and I are spending a lot of time, and way more than you guys can even imagine, of time of looking at ways we can be more efficient in the parts on our end of it, and on also, I'm looking at spending money the way I would spend in my own household and my own business, and not like typical government, just, there's much money here, let's just spend it. And we'll look at it differently, it's not Jesus bills. But we're trying to realistically get a lot of stuff done to where we don't have huge repairs, and try to keep those expenses down, and try to get it more efficient, where I'm looking at, my goal is in the next 3 years, when all these budget cuts come really, kicking us really hard in the teeth, is to where it isn't gonna be as much of an issue.
I agree.
Because we're more streamlined.
That's why we're trying to talk about this stuff now, to uncover what can we do as a team, what can we do to not be year 2 into this, and we're laying people off, and Tyler's gotta do the extra work.
Scott, you could,
You can talk to my wife.
I have.
She'll be over.
Yeah. So that's why we're trying to talk about the uncomfortable things now, before we're forced to do something we really don't want to do. We don't want to do that. Do you have anything else, Seamus?
No, I mean, I agree with Janet, it's not gonna fund, it'll never
Oh,
fund itself.
yeah.
It's
That's why I
not-
said I don't think you can cut.
It's not
20%.
expected to, but we just gotta be smart with every dollar. You know, and I'll use myself as a perfect example. In 2007, or 2008, when the market, everything took a dump, I made very good money, and I took a 30% cut in, we'll say, cut in pay at my job. And I learned one thing, I thought I was very smart with my money. And I learned even after taking a 30% cut in pay, I put more money in my savings than I did when I was, and I thought I was already, it's when pressure's applied, diamonds are created, right? So.
Thanks.
Good point. I mean, and you're correct.
I was in the same boat as you were, James, because I bought a business about 8 seconds after the economy took a dive in 08, so
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And I never lost a dime, and sold and made good money when I sold, so.
I just wish I was a few years older, could've bought a house.
Yeah, right. It's been a good time.
But
What were we doing?
that's why we're trying to hit this head on right now. So, you know, we don't want to skip a thing in our parks. Maybe mowing a little less, but, you know, it does look nice.
You said mowing?
A little less.
Okay, sorry, I thought you said growing, which.
I said mowing.
Well, no, so going
Growing's
to
good.
growing, so, you know, every time we go and add something new, it's more maintenance that we're adding to the park. So, you know, until we see how things really shake out over the next few years, it's gonna be a lot of maintaining.
Maintaining and trying to grow the rental business a little bit, you know, every year. We don't have to make a crap ton as soon as you make the changes to the purchase or the agreement, purchase agreement, but, you know, we need to be looking at these like you're trying to. Brian?
Everybody said it, communication. It was several meetings ago, several of us were taken by surprise by a park board member that came in here. That shouldn't happen.
So it sounds like you have some disgruntled members of that board. Don't know anything for a fact myself, but you know, that needs to be ran efficiently as well. We're all here at 5. We start the meeting. Very rarely can you guys start your meeting on time. That's a personal thing that just, if I have to be here at 5, if I get here at 10 till like I did today, I am running so far behind, I am aggravated. That's me. That's not everybody. You know, I have one child that's 10 minutes early, one that's 5 after, and he's on time. Tyler, you have anything?
No, I think that really, if we can up the communication, make sure that the license agreements are being followed, and at the time of change, then we can document that stuff. I think there's been some challenges, and I think that's what presented itself at that meeting a month and a half ago, right? There was things that were changed 2 or 3 years ago, and all of a sudden it smacks us in the face sitting in a meeting 2 years later, right? So, I think that we need to up the communication. I think that will create a lot of clarity. Happy to start walking down with Angela. We'll start walking down this budget road. I think it's gonna be a long one. And then just making sure that we're adhering to the policies both within the park board, right? And, within the license agreements, I think we'll be able to make some headway.
Awesome.
I think I might have gotten close to an hour now.
Has anybody got anything else
We
for,
won't call you Justin.
for Dirk? See, Justin, I didn't make you last. See why I took you first? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being open. Shannon, thank
Just
you.
for clarity's sake, for him, or I'm assuming we're gonna want him at our second meeting of the month, right after their park board meeting.
Oh,
Yes, that would be helpful.
And then that return, their meeting is next Monday. I don't think he needs to come back at the end. Is it all right if we wait till?
yeah, and I think if there's anything that anything that pops up on the, maybe send us all an email or something instead of showing up. Since you have a meeting, I'm gonna be here if I can, but if somebody comes in or something pops up, just let us know maybe or something like that. We can do some of that by email. Anybody? Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything from the audience before we adjourn our meeting? Adjourn the meeting?